Hey, what's going on? It's Johnny Jalopy. It's not sketchy live, but it is sketchy something. At work, I'm calling this afternoon sharing with Johnny Jalopy. What do you think? Just trying to come up with new ideas to create content. So I thought, hey, I was looking through a portfolio today and looking for some art to post, and was thinking to myself, you know what? Um, what if I was to talk about? Hold on, sorry. What if I was to talk about this specific thing, which was kind of interesting, finding this piece of artwork because it was a piece that I had done, like the whole story before going out the first time to go be an artist on Full Custom Garage. This was like a thing where there wasn't much prep for that time, and really, I think I went. Did I only go once? I think I did. Yeah, which was the reveal. So it was like, the one-time shot out there to California, and be a part of the Johnny Five then reveal, which was a car built on Full Custom Garage. I'm not sure what season. I think it ends up being like season 1, maybe 2 of the way that Mav TV had done it. But anyways, so I thought it'd be kind of cool hey, what's up, Phil? I thought it'd be kind of cool to just kind of talk about some of the processes in that. So just like an afternoon sharing of like hanging out with me, and if we were in the garage and we were kind of baloneying, unfortunately I can't take any of this stuff into the garage that would work right. I already tried this twice this morning and failed miserably with a ton of echo. So I'm hoping that some folks will pop on live. And if you're not popping on live, that you're watching on YouTube, the replay or whatever, or maybe on Facebook, you'll still get the gist of kind of what I'm trying to do here. I hope to kind of maybe make this like here we go. I'd like to make this a daily or every other day kind of thing, where just in the afternoon I pop on for a little bit and talk about a specific subject. So today, this specific subject is about how, if you want to know behind the scenes kind of thing of like how we ended up, Ian Roussel, the master fabricator from Full Custom Garage, how that all came to play as far as building Space Junkie 2. And I thought I'd share some behind the scenes pieces because I found a piece of artwork, and I had shared some artwork. Actually, do I have that with? I don't have it nearby me. I should have brought that with me. But I've found some other artwork, which was like these pieces I had done after, I think, the first time or maybe the second time I'd went out as we're filming the episode, which ended up being a 3-part episode. And I found that art and I had posted it and thought, how cool is it? Now, there are 3 other pieces of artwork that we did on the show that you saw me draw that actually the owner of Space Junkie 2, wherever that car is, I think it's in Vegas in a private collection, is still with the car. It was part of like the Barrett Jackson, when they sold it there, was part of the display work. I've posted pictures of that before as well. So those pieces, the original pieces of that drawing, is with the car, I believe. But what maybe some folks don't know is during the summertime, I think it was summer, maybe it was our winter, maybe it was winter because it wasn't really hot. When Ian and I started talking about possibly Space Junkie 2 stuff, was like when we were filming, and hopefully he remembers this, but I do, because it's very vivid. The whole experience was this crazy, vivid experience. Yeah, it was crazy to meet him for the first time, Phil. So when we were out there, over in the corner of the shop that we were working in Pomona, I think it was Pomona area, where the OG shop was, where he filmed many seasons of Full Custom Garage. Over in the corner was Space Junkie 1 under a tarp. And so him and I are like chatting back and forth, and there's this cool silhouette that the canvas makes on the car. And him and I are like, yeah, that, imagine if you did this or you did that. And he's like, yeah, I've been considering, I spent so much time building that car. I've been considering doing something different with it. And of course, myself, I'm like, man, I hope if you ever decide you want to do something different, that you might consider, kind of working together on that? Because I'd already been stoked that this happened, and what an experience that first time going out there was. So now cut to, he's filming a few cars, and I'm watching full custom, and I'm getting super excited about everything that's going on, and it's really cool. But he, out of the blue, sends me some. He's like, I think I'm ready to maybe do something with Space Junkie 2, and I want to do a redo. Here's the parts I have. Send me something, like get some ideas going, because I think we want to do this. So I'm like, oh my God, a secondary chance to work with my favorite builder, somebody I had been following for a long time, and get to do another opportunity to maybe go to California, go back home, film on a TV show. How awesome of an experience is that? Potential picture of Space Junkies one's original chassis that he built the car on, with the body off of it. Now, I think it was photos, not specifically of him removing the body, but it was photos of, like, in the original build that he had somewhere that he had sent me from the first one, Space Junkie 1. And so he sends me those photos. He sends me a quarter panel leaning up against the shop door. I want to say it was off of I think it's a Pontiac wagon, which is that rear shaping that you end up becomes the rear shaping of what you see in Space Junkie 2, which is this bulbous quarter panel, that really cool fin kick up, and then the round circular lights and the big lights in the back. Because I think it was a Pontiac, maybe a Ford. I can't remember exactly what he got that from, but it was a cut piece of quarter panel, and he sends me a photo of that. And then he sends me a photo of bubble that they had blown. So in previous episodes of Full Custom Garage, I believe Ian blows a bubble at Victor's house, where there's the whole episode of them building the ovens and all that kind of stuff for that. Wow, I'm blanking on what the car was called, but it was, it had the bubble top, and it was like I think it was a T-Bird before, and then they turned it into, a bubble top car. And they had blown multiple bubbles. And these are one of the bubbles that Ian had set aside in a storage container. He tells me when I got there, like, I was like, where did you get the bubble? He goes, oh, we blew a bunch of extra ones. This one didn't fit right. It had the weird, not the right shape. He goes, but I'm looking at it, and I think it would be a cool thing to do a bubble top car. But anyways, this is I get that information when I go there. I don't have that information now that he's sending me through, I think it was Messenger or text. And he sends me the photos. So it's the chassis with no car on it. No, it had the engine, trans sitting there, the chassis. Then he sends me the photo of the quarter panel, and then he sends me the bubble. And he's like, hey, what do you come up with an idea? I think it'd be cool to do a bubble top car. And bubble top cars are my favorite. Him and I are both huge Ed Roth fans, and we love all the bubble top cars that Ed Roth built. And, of course, Starbird built bubble top cars, and I think Barris might have built a couple. But we were like, yeah, that'd be cool. So I'm like, oh my God, an opportunity to just come and geek out on some sort of an idea of bubble top cars that we could do. And so I hope I can pull it up. I'm going to try. So give me 1 second, because there's a pre-drawing drawing. It was like my first concepts ever of, well, maybe I might be able to pull it this way. Hold on. I know I should have had all this pre-done, and I apologize. This is the fun of coming along with me on this little story. Again, Afternoons with Johnny. Something that, maybe you wouldn't get on Sketchy Live, or we just wouldn't have the time, because in the midst of drawings, sometimes it's hard to share everything I want to share. So let's see what happens here. Let's see if it happens. There it is. Okay. Do you see that? So these are the first concept ideas, like the very first, like, let me lay because I'm trying to find within the structures of the chassis that he had built, and again, I'm trying to think of simplistic ways to just flush out the design. So I start with a 2-dimensional drawing rather than a 3/4 view, because I'm just trying to figure stuff out. What's super interesting is if you look at these initial drawings, look at 2014 is when I did this. And this is idea number 1. I even marked it idea number 1, which is awesome. I'm so glad I saved this. And by the way, this is on my website, and you can actually order this print, and you could have the first concepts of Space Junkie 2. But if you look at what's here, any of the ideas that end up being the car itself come from these first initial little sketches I sent Ian. Now, I don't know if he saved them and was like geeking out on them, looking at them, because what's funny is, like, even thinking about the wheel design, look at those moon discs on the top are exactly how he goes to the moon guys, and they make special moon discs for Space Junkie 2. Those are not off the shelf moon discs that are on Space Junkie 2. Those were built and made in the Moon Eyes place in California, where they shaped custom moon discs for Space Junkie 2, which is amazing. But if you look at these first concept drawings from 2014, before there's even a TV show, before there's even an idea of thought or conversation between Ian and I, this is what I'm already fleshing out in my head, which, as you can see, there's some things we end up utilizing. It's so crazy. Like the spheres on the side, the direction in which the bubble lays, the air cleaner, and then the wheel covers. This cutout on the side, also down the angling portion where the spears are coming out, because these are in my head as I go to California and we film that first episode where he says, "Hey, I got these ideas. Here's some things. Here's the pieces. Go draw." And then they film me drawing ideas. And that was the hard part, which was it's TV. And again, we weren't trying to fool anybody, but it was on the spot. And this is where Sketchy Live comes from, is it was me having to go do this and draw on camera really fast, that I was like, oh my God, I got to learn how to draw faster. I'm so slow at drawing. Because I was on camera and Brooks is like, dude, like they wanted to film me, and I was like, a camera over the top of me drawing was not easy to concentrate or even think about the things you're going to do. But it was super cool and fun. But this is the first concept ideas that are in my head. What's interesting is I think I only do 2 different drawings before I go, which is this and this other one that I'm about to show you. Let me go back to me, which is this other drawing that I found in my portfolio today that I actually had taken and put in here, where somebody could have scapped this up and purchased it. And it would be idea number 2, but really the most flushed out version of what Space Junkie 2 ends up becoming. And to be honest, I think had we even built it more closer to this, but this is what happens when you collab, other Ian's got his own ideas of what he wants it to look like and what he sees in his head. And then Mark was there. Mark Hayward had a little hand in building like the air cleaner, and then Erie Eric comes and they work on the rear end and finish the welding of the body. And a lot of things had to change because of just the idea that I had, like with the headlights, the inside the body. Ian had built these things or found these things to accomplish it, and it didn't work. So they had to do it a different way. The interior, the cutout in the body, I always imagine it being way more dramatic. And just because of building a car and then the time frame, there was no way to really flush that idea out to its amazingness. So I'm going to show you what ends up being idea number 2. But I think, and again, there's a nugget in here that I brought to the drawing table in the show that I already had in my head as a must-have 2 pieces. must-haves, and I was just like praying that Ian would be like, dude, yeah. Now I can't remember if I showed him what I'm about to show you through text or through Messenger. I can't remember. I wonder if it's in. I might have to go back through his and I message. I haven't erased any of that stuff. I wonder. So, are you ready? Like this is this big buildup. This is so stupid. Anyways, again, the idea of after. Hey, what's going on? They're boogered builds. What's going on? Howdy to you. This is what's up, Jim? So this is idea number 2, and this is really the biggest conceptual where like there wasn't, maybe there was some little pencil thumbnails that I drew. I don't remember another drawing other than what I just showed you, which is this one. And then into the one I'm about to show you. But this one laid a lot of the ideas that were going to work really cool. Like that, the secondary one, the one below, you can see the headlight idea in there. You can also see kind of where I was with the tail light. But the body's pushed more forward than the top one. You don't see much of that rear quarter panel, which is where you could see that I was really paying attention. The air cleaner in the top one, I think, worked better. And then again, it actually what ends up being built on the original or the real car is that air cleaner gets flipped facing the other way, which is it should have been. But I was trying to mimic the air cleaner shapes in the bubble shape, those two spots, if you can see that in design. Where if you look at the bottom one, I was also mimicking air cleaner bubble shapes. Do you see how it was both were shaped kind of similar, and then on top both the way they flow in the car is similar? I also, if you notice the radiator grill on the top drawing of that one, I loved. If you look at the way we did Johnny 5 and the way I drew that, most people lay the radiator back on a rake towards the back. I thought it would always be cool because it gives this visual stance of motion, of leaning it forward, and that's what we did with the Johnny 5. And that was my idea of like carrying that same like Johnny Jalopy design idea concept, bringing that to that. Of course, we didn't end up doing that with Space Junkie 2 because Ian did a different grill and stuff, but it still came out cool and it was laid back. But I always imagined it laying forward. But there's the fun of the collaboration. Hey, what's up, Del Rey? What's going on? Hopefully, everybody, this is me just sharing what you're seeing on the screen right now. If you haven't chimed in or if you just popped on, this is the original first concept drawings of Space Junkie 2 that gets filmed into a 3-part episode on Full Custom Garage. And all that Ian had sent me was, again, bubble top, quarter panel, rear quarter panel off of some sort of a wagon. It was either a Pontiac or a Ford, I think. And then the chassis from Space Junkie 1. So let's get into the portfolio of this, because again, what ends up happening is this drawing, I think, because it was in my head, really starts becoming what I draw in the show, because it's the freshest piece I had done that most resembles what, like, all the ideas I had fleshed out of the concept of Space Junkie 2, or what would become Space Junkie 2, because we hadn't even named it yet. And that's where, because again, I think when him and I talked to why we called it 2.0 was because we were like, you never know if you're going to, who knows if it would stay the way it was going to stay. And actually, after we filmed the original, after we had filmed, him and I, there was a, if you remember, I think it's in episode 2 where we cut the bubble top to bring the bubble further closer to the body itself. It wasn't such a tall peak on it. We had cut a piece out. Remember, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, you're cutting this bubble. I hope it doesn't break, doesn't crack, whatever. When we got back from filming the reveal episode, we took, I think we took the bubble off because he was going to do some refining of stuff. And we actually, the piece we cut almost looked like a boat windshield. And I'm like, how cool would it to be to have a winter Space Junkie 2 and then a summer version where it has that boat windshield on it. And him and I were geeking out about that for a little while with some beers, and I think we were barbecuing with his landlord. And I was like, dude, let's do it right now. Let's put it on and see what it would look like. And we never did, but I really wish we would have done it, and I wish we would have filmed that because I think that would have been cool because it was a whole nother look. And that may be something I might end up doing on one of these episodes of this Afternoons with Johnny. I might flush that idea out of what would Space Jammer version. But anyways, so let's get to this secondary piece of art I found. It's the second concept idea that actually becomes what I take to California as the full-blown idea. And I know this is like, oh, all that drama for this. but there it is. There's the secondary concept idea. And again, there's so much of this thing that I wish we would have done. Like I like the spears on the side of Space Junkie 2 are cool in the way they had to be made because of time frame. This opening here, I always imagined more much larger, almost like a jet engine, like a jet plane has those side intakes. But because again, the time frames and the way, welding and all that kind of stuff, that just wasn't time to do that. And I think the staggering of the spheres on the side like this would have been a little more visually interesting than what we ended up with. But I still love Space Junkie 2. I love that car. I love it so much. And so, and in fact, I wonder if I shouldn't be so stupid. And let me do this real quick. While you guys are watching me, let me see if I can find. I should have access to a good picture of what Space Junkie 2.0 looks like, in case people don't remember what it looks like. Whoops. You gotta love your computer when it just doesn't want to cooperate with you. And again, I should have had all this prepped and ready to go as far as for sharing. And of course I didn't because I didn't know how exactly I was going to do this and how much I'd really be sharing about it in depth and detail. Crap, it's not there. Sorry, but let me see if I can find. Like, how do I not have thousands of pictures of that car? I do have thousands of pictures of it because I love it. It's one of my favorite cars. I got to drive it where I didn't get to drive any of the other ones. It was 3 episodes where, the other ones were multiple episodes, but again, I did not get to drive the car. Here's a decent picture. Let's see if it'll pull it up. Let's see. Hopefully you can see it. But if you look at on the side there where you can really hardly make out the spheres. And yeah, so I think it would have been so much cooler had, let me go back to this picture, had the idea of this larger air duct area on the side. Even the way the side of the body, this sloping area, I just think looked so cool, and it gave opportunities for this chrome piece. I do love the end concept that Erie and Ian come up with for the way this body line here comes up over. I don't know if you've ever noticed or anybody has ever noticed, but there's these little pieces that are like right where I don't know if you can see my cursor, towards the front, just above where the you can see the headlight itself. There is like a brass knuckle looking shape. It's pretty dang cool. And then of course this area got made, not to this extreme. He ended up doing less of the circles, but those were added. And again, my most favorite part of how it ends up becoming is the fin, the shark fin. Again, I wish I had a much better side view picture, which I'm sure I do. And if not, I'll just go to the drawing, my sketch of Space Junkie. See, and again, I should have been way more prepared and ready to share all this stuff with you. But this was just like a spur of the moment, like idea of like, hey, let's do this. Of the real one versus my drawing. But that may be what we have to reference, is the drawing. Or what ends up being my drawing of it. It's going to pop on here in a sec. Let's see. Yep. So if you look, the spheres on the side were not as dramatic. There is this like the little brass knuckle part. There's the fin, this chrome piece towards the back gets made. And the way the fin ends up being made is a little different too. I had mine a little bit lower, and the bubble's much longer. So in the original, or what we end up making, the bubble has got an even taller peak on it. So the way Ian was able to make that fin in the back still works, but I was excited that stayed. And then again, the air cleaner in how Space Junkie, I don't know if Mark saw or he was just mimicking this, but in the original, like this is drawing number 2, I had the fin on the air cleaner too, and then in the original or the real Space Junkie, yeah, it's there. Man, I wish I had the good photo of, like, my most favorite photo of, which, let me see if I can maybe do this. Hold on. We're just live, right? It's not like anybody going anywhere. Let me see if I can get the best shot of this thing. Side view. Yeah. Let me see if I can send this to myself and then bring it in here. Share, messenger, and messenger. No, there we go. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a few things behind the scenes, but this is, again, I hope you can see like how it all got flushed out, and I hope that's pretty cool. That I hope it's not lame that you guys that I'm sharing this and you're going, big deal, dude. Who cares? But I just thought it'd be kind of fun to share some, kind of behind the scenes thing of like how this all happened. And what is my computer doing? Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's see if this will work now. Okay, back to you. Okay. Let's remove this. We're going to do this. Image file. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to be able to, this is going to work perfect. And really get to see. So there's the real Space Junkie 2. All the pinstriping's done. I don't know if you can see the cool brass knuckle thing above where the bubble is much lower in the real one. Again, those cool moon discs. I just think it's, like, engine wise didn't come out because I wasn't sure what motor he was going to use. And to be honest, the photo that he had sent me didn't have exhaust on it yet. It was just the chassis with the engine sitting in it with no exhaust, and it was the original engine in Space Junkie 1, which we didn't use. He ends up putting a 350 small block Chevy in it, in trans. And so the exhaust opportunities versus the inline 8, I think, is what was in Space Junkie 1 or 12. It was a big, inline motor out of Space Junkie 1. And this, this ends up having small block Chevy with, the exhaust that Ian custom builds, the cool drag racing front wheels, which I'm so happy that was a part of. We looked at the yellow Fang and we were like, gotta have some Ed Roth influence in, even though it's a bubble top. Again, if you look at the side view of this car, the spheres itself versus the dramatic of what I was hoping in my concept is just different. But you can see a lot of the cues. The baby moons. Was again, when I showed him this, I don't remember if I sent him this photo or if I kept that as a secret, so that if, like, hey, what if we did this? And then I would show him when we went to film. So I was trying to keep some of the realness of that part. But to be thrown in this room to draw multiple views of the car and stuff for TV was interesting. And again, those drawings went with the car when it got sold at Barrett Jackson, and the owner now has those drawings. But I was looking through my portfolio this morning and I was like, hey, this is interesting. Here's the secondary drawings of Space Junkie 2. I didn't do any more drawings of it. I don't remember doing any more. I did do some drawings of it on the way back, I think, when we had it in paint. So I'd already seen what it was going to look like. I didn't know exactly what color it was going to be or how we were going to paint it. Maybe it was the first episode we did where we were kind of fleshing out the whole idea. It had to be the second one. Because I think in the reveal, I would, if it was in the reveal time when I went out there to film, when I was coming back from LAX, I would have drawn because we had all the graphics and everything were already on it. What year was the car finished? I think it was 19. I think it was 2018. 16 maybe. You'd have to go back and look at and when that episode aired. Yeah. And the crazy thing is it aired most folks saw it on Motor Trend. And it was built, and Ian had already sold it once when it was on Motor Trend. It was on when it was being filmed for MAV TV was when that first original thing happened. So that's the crazy thing, is a lot of you folks who maybe saw it for the first time, the Johnny 5, the Space Junkie, those cars had already been built and aired once before. The original airing of those shows, Motor Trend picked up and then started showing them as like new episodes on Motor Trend for them, but they were old episodes in the theory of what was already built. I think when Space Junkie 2 came out on Motor Trend, I want to say we were already starting to wrap up Funky Futura. Maybe. So it's just crazy. I'm not, again, I want to say, because the drawing says 2014, and I want to say it was within that year. So it was either 15 or 16 is when we went out there to do it. And then, of course, that's the crazy thing is as the episodes get aired, again, when it was in Motor Trend or on a MAV TV, there wasn't a lot of people that had MAV TV or that were watching MAV TV. So, Ian has this huge following and his fans have been following him forever. But like for me, there wasn't a lot of, there was some local people that had seen MAV and it was cool, but it wasn't until it was on Motor Trend did anybody else suddenly go, oh, hey, Johnny Jalopy, what are you doing here in Florida? Or why are you out here? Or they'd see, or if when I went to SEMA and the car was there at SEMA. That was one of the pictures I had shared, was at the car at SEMA. It had already been sold twice by then. It had already gone to Barrett Jackson by then. The owner in Vegas allowed Ian to bring the car to SEMA, that SEMA show. And so I wasn't even a part of the booth and the stuff that was going on. A great friend, Gary Fisher, invited me out to SEMA. He's like, I got you a pass. Come out. Your car's here. You should be here. And I was like, hell yeah. So I flew out to Las Vegas to be with the car, and basically, using old hip hop terms, bum rushed myself into making appearance with the car and hanging out with the car the multiple days that I was there, even though I wasn't physically really invited to be in this booth. I just showed up and muscled my way in and said, this is my car. I'm going to be here. And, I hate to, it's not my car, and it definitely was full custom, and it was Ian for sure, all of that stuff. But I just had such a love for the vehicle itself that, I was like, I gotta be there, and be a part of that. That's why, again, that photo I showed before was a picture of me at SEMA, basically finding my way into the show itself and saying, I'm gonna be a part of this. And Ian was gracious enough. He was like, yeah, dude, of course, come hang out. Like, it was never Ian not wanting me to be there or any of that kind of stuff at all. But it was I forget, it was a paint booth, paint company. They're bringing the star of the show, and so they had him and a bunch of other Gene Winfield was there that day. And they had a bunch of legends that were there signing this big autograph poster that the paint company had done and stuff like that. So, who the hell am I? I'm just, conceptually the guy that came up with an idea, and thank God Ian, brought that idea to life. And I've had this opportunity since then that, folks like you guys know who I am based on a lot of that stuff. But at the time, I had basically, bum rushed my way into this SEMA show that I wasn't invited to, just to be near my car. And it was cool because there were fans of the show that showed up at SEMA and were like, holy shit, why are you here? I was like, well, I know, right? Why am I here? But they were really cool, and they were like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I got to talk to a bunch of people about the car, and while Ian was doing autographs and stuff, I was hanging with the car and got to talk to people about the car and design and ideas and how it all came to pass, and it was fleshed out and stuff like that. So, it was a fun experience. But I definitely, had made my way on there when I'm sure people were like, what are we doing? So real quick, let's add this to one more time. There's the original concepts of Space Junkie 2. Those are the first ideas. If you look on the thing, that's the first idea. This print, just to let you know, this print is available on my website, johnnyjalopy.com. Ooh, look, I'm trying to sell stuff. johnnyjalopy.com. This other version that you see here, this is the original of it. And I brought this to Lowbrow Art Show, and almost I was thinking maybe someone would buy it, praying someone maybe wouldn't, but because again, this is a part of that. This is a part of this car's history, is like how this car came to pass starts from these drawings that I did. And so the two other ones are available on my website. If you wanted to get a copy of it, you could have your own personal, like the visions of how Space Junkie 2.0 started. Sorry for, let me read some of these comments. I apologize. Yeah, I'm horrible with dates. I apologize for that. Boogered Builds. Yeah, I realized where you were in Florida. Yeah, I got to meet you at Turkey Rod Run, I believe, right? And yeah, again, I felt a part of it, but at the same time, listen, like I sell shirts with it on there. I sell stickers and stuff with it on. It's not my car. It was it was built on the show. It's definitely a big part of Ian in my collaboration past, and I'll be forever grateful. Said that a million times, and I'll continue to keep saying that a million times, that I am forever grateful to that guy for even taking a chance on me being a part of the show, and and getting to be on it and do other builds that we built. But I just thought it'd be fun to go through memory lane and share this with you, this interesting thing I found today. And I thought, here's a cool idea of maybe something. And I apologize for all the in betweens and and trying to find files. Next time I will be definitely more prepared to show stuff. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this little walk through of how the Space Junkie 2.0 came to be conceptually. You all saw it on television, how it came to be in the physicals, but this is how it came to be in the concept, and this is where it started. This was the first concept drawing of it, again, available on my website. I think they're $25, 17 by 11, heavy cardstock. And then the secondary right here in my portfolio I found today as I was going through it is the original on Tantone paper, the flushed out, like this. If Johnny was going to build Space Junkie 2.0, how would he build it? And I'm super grateful for how it turned out. But I hope you can see some of the extra custom touches that in my concept I asked, like this chrome strip that goes down the side would have been sick. But again, the ideas that Ian and Erie Eric came up with for this flow into the side, into that cool brass knuckly looking thing, and the way the headlights are recessed in there, and just for it to fit the frame the right way. It was such a narrow chassis anyways, and it was very much like the length of almost like the old slingshot dragsters, the length of it. And when Ian and I were conceptually coming up with ideas on the show too, we gave nod and homage to Ed Ross Fang, because he had a picture of that going down the drag strip, and he's like, yeah, how cool would it be if it was like going through a vortex of colors, like when we were trying to think of like graphics for it. And even that, the graphics thing was such a fun, fleshed out idea, and the way the color laid down, and then getting to meet someone who's become a friend and almost like a family member now. It was my first time getting to meet Little Daddy Roth, and that's where my relationship with him, after going on the show and meeting him years later, going to Autorama and being in the same booth as him, and then becoming friends, and he's coming to my house now, and we've been on the podcast. So it's just all these different things that have happened because of the Full Custom TV show and this opportunity. Again, the first one with Johnny 5, I could never imagine in a million years that would have happened. But I didn't have as much, even though Ian was really asking for a lot of my input in when he built that, but I had no touches on that car other than I showed up on the day of reveal for them to show me the car for the episode. And that was the first time him and I had met in person. It's the first time I met Brooks, the producer of the show. It's the first time I met Mark Hayward. It's the first time meeting any of those guys, and they were really freaking out because they were like, here's an artist guy, we don't know him, is he going to be cocky, is he going to think he's better than us or whatever? And all the things that come along when you never met somebody before. That was all happening. And then I show up, and then for it to turn into like hanging out for a couple days, eating food and barbecuing and drinking beers, and then talking about just kind of bullshitting around about Space Junkie 1 sitting over in this corner under a tarp. And the conversation starting of like, how cool it'd be to do something different. And he'd already, I think, had it in his mind he was going to do something different. That when he pulled the trigger to do it, he calls, he sends me photos and all this stuff. Hey, come up with a concept before we film the show, because that's how it works. Like, imagine how much time could have been wasted had we not had an additional idea rolling into the show. But a lot of the things got flushed out. A lot of how Space Junkie 2.0 comes to be starts from some of these concept drawings, but it doesn't 100% come out of it, because there's so, look at how vastly, even though there's similarities, it's vastly different in much of the design too. And that's the fun shared part of collaboration with another artist, is you might have these ideas and all this cool stuff that you think would be awesome, and then someone else comes in with their idea, and then Erie comes in with his idea, and Mark has a little bit of input, and then it gets flushed out to this finished, amazingly cool bubble top car that is sitting somewhere in I think in Vegas still, in someone's private collection. And I wonder to myself, hey, Howard, where in the world is Howard Pierpont? I wonder to myself if I'll ever get to see that car again. Cars. I'm so grateful that the 3FV Funky Futura, that the owner of that car drives the heck out of it, and I get to see it posted. Like, every day there's a new post, pictures of that car out and about in the public, right? Something that was in my head and is now driving around. But this one, Johnny 5, they're sitting somewhere with somebody, and again, I have no idea if I'll ever get to see them again, if I'll ever have an opportunity to sit in them or drive them, get near them. Who knows? I'm hoping. I'm hopeful. And I'm also hopeful that maybe there'll be another opportunity for another collaboration with Ian. Full Custom Garage is not around anymore. It's, he's doing his YouTube channel, and, he's got multiple builds going on and trying to work through all that stuff and create a YouTube channel. And, he's collaborated with a few local people. That's the hard part. I'm way out here in Florida. He's in California, area. And that makes it tough, because it's not just like I can go over to his garage and just hang out and go, hey dude, let's, what do you think of this idea? Or let's collab again. There's like multiple puzzle pieces got to be moved. And especially up until a couple months ago, I had a job that I had to figure out if I could even take time off. Now, I'm doing this full time, and I have time. But know this too. Let me throw this out in the ether. I'm available to collab with anybody who wants to collab with me. If you've got an idea of a car or something, trying to figure out some ideas. I had some folks send me stuff, and I've done a few things, and some things got built, and I never heard anything about it. And I don't want to call those people on anything, but it's happened. But yeah, I missed the show. I was a fan, am a fan. That's why I still continue to watch Ian's YouTube channel. It's cool. It's also, I've now, gone on and found other people that are building shows and people that were building online that I love watching too. So yeah, I'm sure you're a fan and a fan of those shows as well. But anyways, I just thought it'd be fun to bring you along. This was the idea of me doing this Afternoons with Johnny. This particular picture right here, I found in my portfolio. I thought it'd be fun to share. And here we went through a little talk about Space Junkie. And it's still not all the stories of Space Junkie 2. There's other stories. It's so fun being a part of it. So, hey, I hope you had a good time hanging out with me this afternoon. I sure appreciate it. If you could, please, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Trying to find where you put that stuff. Hold on. Sorry. I think I'd be better at this. I have all this stuff. Where did it all go? See, this is what happens. See, Itty B is usually the one working all that. There it is. Working all this stuff. So please like and subscribe to the channel. And again, these concept drawings are available as prints at johnjalopy.com. So don't hesitate. Head over there. Pretty affordable. Good Christmas gift. You now know the story, so you could share that story with someone you know. And again, come hang out with us on Monday nights, Sketchy Live, 9:30 Eastern time, where we draw live. Sometimes we talk about the automotive culture, and many times we'll have guests, artists, and different things like that. So come hang out and see that. Sketchy Live on Mondays. But this has been something new I'm trying to do, which is Afternoons with Johnny. So hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed the story. I sure enjoyed it. And thanks for coming along and being a part of it. And I love the comments. This is me doing it by myself. So I'm going to be trying to do a better job next time of reading your comments. Because that's a big part of why I do it live, or why we do it. And yeah, I hope to do some work for any of you that are hoping to hook up and collab on something. I'm available, so just hit me up. You can catch me easy on the social medias, and of course, johnnyjalopy.com. There's a contact thing there. You can click and do it. So, hey, this has been Afternoons with Johnny. I hope you had a good time, and I can't wait to hang out with you again real soon. We'll see what the next episode brings, but please let me know what you thought of this, and if it's worth for me to keep doing this. I'd sure appreciate the feedback. Have a fantastic rest of your day and an amazing week, and we will see you again real soon. And don't forget to stay sketchy. So we'll see you guys soon, very soon. Bye. And outro. Set outro. Why is it not playing in the outro? Oh, it's going to do when I stop in the stream. Okay. So stupid. Just play it. Why is it not playing it? All right. We'll see you guys. Have a good one.